eco-villages, from surviving to thriving in on-the-land communities. Ananda Vistara Master Unit, a flourishing eco-spiritual community in Burkina Faso with Dada Padmesha'nanda, hosted by Yolanda Dekin. This is ConsciousEarthAlliance.com.
We go into the part from surviving to thriving. The whole day is about living on the land. We now like to go to Dada Padmesha'nanda in Burkina Faso. He started to work in Africa and he has created a beautiful, it's an eco-spiritual community which is thriving again. And Dada, please, could you tell us what happened since you came there and how can we also benefit from your knowledge?
Hello everyone. Can you hear me fine?
Yeah, perfectly well. Thank you, Dada, for being here.
Great. I'm very happy to be invited in this platform. Today is a bit extraordinary circumstances because we have like a big demonstration in the city against the French army intervening in Sahel. So, you know, they cut internet actually in many places. And I'm using some very weak Wi-Fi, and I hope the sound and the image will go through. So yes, I am Dada Padmesha'nanda. I was born in France about 45 years ago. And being a young teenager, I had a dream also to go with all my friends in some place in the nature, far from all the troubles of the city, and find some oasis in the nature. I was picturing some kind of place where we would farm and some art would be going on, some kind of nice community. And but then I was not really fulfilled, and I had a lot of questions, existential questions in mind. And I had promised myself that before I establish anything in life, being married or finding a job, I have to go travel and find, you know, the reason why I'm alive and the way to get to some kind of fulfillment and satisfaction in life. So during my travels, I traveled in India and I had some different encounters. And I ended up being in Czech Republic where I met Ananda Marga community. And I was working at that time in a master unit. So that was my first encounter with what is a master unit. And there was a DD working. So I am a Dada, I'm a yogic monk. And she introduced me to some spiritual practices, such as meditation and asanas and everything. And I found, you know, what I was looking for within, something that was missing in my life very much before. So slowly, I became more and more involved in that community. So I became a missionary in 2008, and I am actually posted in Africa, in Burkina Faso. So when I reached Burkina Faso, there was different projects that had been started the previous Dada before me, but I was very enthusiastic to work in a master unit because that was already my dream, you know, when I was a teenager, though I didn't have the name and all the different criteria and different aspects of it yet. But my spiritual master, who is also a great philosopher, had propounded many different philosophies. Actually, he talked about so many different things. But one thing in particular, you know, really attracted my attention, and that was the master unit. And the master unit is supposedly something like the nucleus or nuclei, because there will be many master units of a new society. And a new society, an ideal society, where a person will find everything that's needed for complete fulfillment on the material sphere, on the mental sphere, and on the spiritual sphere. So it is a very, very beautiful idea, very benevolent idea, and very difficult to put into practice because it's a place which will enable the local community and those who live in this place to have access to all the basic necessities of life. If we have a family, we need to do so many things in the society. We need to take care of our health, our education, we need to have proper access to food and etc. Plus, we need to take care of our mind. And finally, man being a man, he requires some food for his soul also, which I think was the part that was really missing, when I was a teenager. So the master unit is supposed to have so many branches so that it can provide all these necessities to the local community, utilizing as much as possible the local human and natural resources. So this is a great challenge, but a very beautiful one also. So as I told, I am here in Burkina Faso in Africa, and the context is very, very different from Europe. I was just traveling in Europe now. I came back 2 days ago. So it's like it's a different world altogether. And the main thing that makes it a different world is that here, Burkina Faso is a very poor country. The people do not have access to the basic necessities of life yet, at least in the countryside. So the mindset is completely towards acquiring those basic necessities. So everything in life here, everything, the psychology of the people, the striving of the people is to acquire, a house, a means of transportation, secure the food and secure everything which is needed for the physical survival of a person. So that makes the mindset very, very different. So our master unit is located about 50 kilometers south of Ouagadougou, the capital. It's in the rural area. It's the places where most of the adults are illiterate. There is no electricity, no water, dirt roads. And so the first thing that we wanted to do is to secure food access. The place that we are working on there has been given, there is about 3 hectares of land has been given by the local community to the former Dada, who promised that he wants to do something for them, for that, this village and the villages surrounding Bikeli village. So we have about 3 hectares of land. Now it's about 5. We increased. And the first work has been food, access to food, because it's a very dry place. It rains only 3 to 4 months a year, and during these rainy seasons, people work the fields in order to store what they will eat the whole year long. So it's a very intense period, and when that period is finished, basically there is nothing to do. Well, there is no source of income, and there is only whatever they could harvest, which will secure their life for the whole year long. So it's very, very fragile circumstances. So the first work has been trying, according to the principles of agroecology, permaculture, to draw mounds on the field so that when it rains not often, but then it's very violent. The rain, the water, surface water doesn't draw all the organic materials away, and the water also can infiltrate the soil. So we have been doing those mounds, and then we had the idea to plant some trees on it so that it will maintain the mounds, and also it will provide income in the long, short, and middle term. And doing so, we discovered a very interesting tree which is called moringa. And moringa is a tree which leaves are fantastically nutritious. It's very similar to spirulina. So you have all the minerals, the vitamins, the antioxidants, proteins that a person needs. And so we have organized the community. On one side, the farmers, those who have field and can produce those leaves. And another side that we see now, the group or association of women who come to process those leaves. So slowly, this project has increased, and we have now 22 women, about 20 women working, processing those leaves, and also about 20 farmers producing those leaves. And we process them in the master unit, and then we sell it. We sell the products that we make in the local market, in the cities and in the rural areas, also for fighting against malnutrition and also just, you know, as a food supplement. We make also teas, and it's quite good income. Our we get about say $2,000 to $3,000 every month. Benefit is hardly anything, but you know, it can maintain all those people and given some income to those people who otherwise have no income. So this has been really the economic booster of the place, this moringa project. And then we talked about food, but we have so many other things for the basic necessities, and they are water. So here we see pictures of the water access. So many villages and even our center didn't have access to water. It means the women and the children, they go by bicycle or by foot, and they carry like big jerry cans and go to the nearest pump, manual pump, as you see here, and fill their containers and go back home with those containers, those jars, those jerry cans. So we have been drilling quite a few such boreholes, a bit more than 10, to give access to water to villages around. And not every time not every time, but we would like that every time we do such boreholes and we give access to water, we also organize women, mostly women, because they are incredible in Africa. They are very responsible, and it's easier to work with them. We train them in growing vegetables. And so around those boreholes, make a fence, and they grow vegetables and they get income, which is very important also because otherwise they have no income at all. So every time they need something, they have to ask the husband, and the relationship is not healthy. And I would like to say here that eventually the aim of a master unit is to be self-sufficient. So to be self-sufficient means every person has to be self-sufficient. Yeah, ultimately, you know, every person will become self-sufficient, and also whatever project we are running there, it should become self-sufficient. Self-sufficient in terms of economic outlook, but also in terms of happiness. So through cooperative systems, through collective leadership, through cultivation of inner values also, we try to not only to reach a socio-economic self-sufficiency, but also, how to say that, self-sufficiency in terms of happiness, of inner well-being. But well, first thing first, so the first thing to have the basic necessities of life, and so we talked about the water, we talked about food. Regarding the water, here, what we see here is there is a dam in the city, and there is no river. So this is actually the water collected during the short rainy season. But slowly, the salt has invaded the dam. So the volume of water is much less now. So we are working on a big project to remove the silt and also higher up the dam so we can collect more water. And this will enable the local community to do cultivation, different type of cultivation, even when the water, when the rain is over, they will irrigate the field with the water from the dam. So we are working on that too. And then there are two big branches of our work. One is health. There was no access to any clinic, to any hospital. And so we built a primary health care center. So we have been working on the access to health. And this primary health center is working now for over 10 years, and we are opening a maternity this year. So it's also wonderful. It's wonderful because they don't have to walk so many miles in order to get treatment. At the same time, it's a challenge because this is the work of the government actually that we are doing, and people have hardly any income. So in order to pay the nurses and to have the patients being able to pay the consultation, though it's like 20 cents of euro, and pay the medicaments, pay the drugs, it's also a bit difficult, but somehow we are now being self-sufficient also regarding the primary health center. And we hope that we will manage the maternity that we are opening now, how to sustain it. So you see that things like education and health is very difficult to have it self-sufficient because local people have so little income, and you need to pay the nurses, and you need to pay, in case of education, the teachers, and it's actually quite costly, mostly if you want it to be of a high standard. Anyway, we have been working hard in order to make it self-sufficient. It's quite okay for the regarding the primary healthcare center. And I'm still working on education. I think we'll see the pictures soon, where we have now 350 kids going to our school because there was no access to school either. That's why all the parents are illiterate. But now, the kids go to school and they learn a batch of things. They learn to write and read, and they learn many more things than that because we have it goes up to grade 12 now. And that's really wonderful to have all this population coming to the school and to have us being able to bring, some of our ideals into the curriculum of the school is very, very, very touching and beautiful. Because as I said, first is the basic necessities of life. But of course, we would not like that we will produce a system like we have in Europe, where after acquiring the basic necessities of life, the mind still wants to go and grab everything in the world around and goes into accumulations of wealth and overaccumulation and so many psychic diseases that we know now in the West. So the idea is that they get the feeling that after acquiring what is necessary for life, happiness must be found within, through cultivating the human cardinal values and through connecting oneself with the source of eternal happiness, which is God, which is the Supreme. So it's a Muslim community. So, they understand very well, because I live with them for so many years that I've shared everything with them, that I'm not here to bring a new belief system or a new religion, though I am dressed in orange, but I am really here to share a way of life that I feel pertinent, that I feel the best so far for the fulfillment of everyone on the economic sphere, but also on fulfillment of your inner being. So this is coming now slowly. We are putting this into place slowly as the cry or the thirst for the basic necessities is getting a little less. Though there is still a lot of work to do in order to be stable regarding those basic necessities. So yes, so this is the main branches of the project. And what I like very much about this master unit is like we are so much intertwined with the local community. I am not deciding anything on my own. It's like a board of people, local people who are taking all the decision for me actually, because it's a very different place, it's a different culture. and I really prefer having them, decide what's best for them. Of course, I have my opinion, I have my voice, but at the same level like theirs. And we all have different roles. My role is more not to find farms and to be able to give trainings because I have more education than them, and to share whatever brought me through leading this life and brought me to being a very happy man. But everyone has his own role in the decision making of whatever is happening there. I'm also very much, in charge of the accounting and dealing with money, because there is a lot of poverty, so money is a sensitive issue. So this is more of my role. But really, whatever we have been doing, people that we are employing and dealing with all the different problems that we come through is done by the community, and I'm part of it, but I'm only part of it. So what I like is, I was listening to Joel about the Amish community, and it was very interesting, a testimony. But I was thinking that for me, it's a bit different because we all have different beliefs. I'm a yogi, they are Muslims, there are a few Christians, and there are also different ethnies. There you have the Fulanis, you have the Mosis, different chiefs, different traditions. So to put all this together and to create a trust is a very sensitive, and it takes a long time, a lot of patience. It's like we are all, going through some education. We are being educated to how to live together when we have, different perspectives of life, and that's very rich. And that's something that I really love, because in the end, we can come together only on one thing, on what is true, on what is really wise and really true, and not dogmatic, and not. So it's a learning for all of us, and yeah, I really love it. It's my joy to be working there, and it's my joy to see that so many people are now. I don't know. I think every day we have over 300 people coming in and out of the center, even more between for health reasons, for education reasons, the parents, the children, but also for any type of problem. It's like we have become the board of directors. Like we are 2-3 people, main people there. We have become like the traditional chiefs sitting under the tree, and people come with their problems, and we try to find solution, and we try to help everyone. So the spirit of benevolence and the spirit of trying to help others is really at the base of what we do, and that's what connects us, and that's what created a wave of trust between all of us, and that's wonderful. It makes me very optimistic to find that even in a place where we are so far from many standards of the Western world in terms of knowledge, being conscious of the environment, and so many things, but we are succeeding in living together, and we are succeeding in cultivating some joy, just to be happy to be alive, and to be happy to be part of something that could not be built if it was not together. So I am more than ever passionate about Master Unit, and that's I think that's something that can be really the base for a new society. But it requires, yes, a lot of work. It requires a lot of commitment and a lot of patience also, because you have to understand according to the place where you are, what are the needs of the people, and ideally, I think it's something that should gather all the different beliefs, different races, and so you need to find a way to have it become harmonious with a common understanding, and finally, base your work on wisdom, not on any other belief. Yes, I don't know how long I have been talking.
Oh, you're perfect in time. I'm going to a kind of last question for you. People are
I'm
listening.
rushing, but maybe I should not. I don't know.
Oh, but it's lovely. I'm with my jaw dropped a little bit, like, wow, so much is achieved, and that's with all of you taking this chance. You're not only from surviving to thriving, but you're also sharing this abundance, and that's what I hear in all the projects. So it's so rich. But Dada, if people are listening now from maybe taking this step also, what advice would you give people if they take the step coming from the current situation? What would you like to say to people now on the edge of going to the land?
Yeah, I think it's something that everyone should think of to create Master Unit, because the crisis is becoming more and more intense. And just now we have COVID-19 striking. They put the capital in quarantine, and actually in the Master Unit there, though we are in Africa, because of solar panels and because of our boreholes, we had access to everything. So it could have been a much more severe crisis, and we were self-sufficient, not only for ourselves but for the whole community. So I think it's very important to strive towards self-sufficiency. Yeah, there is no doubt about it. And there is no doubt also that we need decentralization. Even here in Africa, people are still thinking that, the paradise is in the city because you have more access to wealth. But those who come to the city, like in Western world, no, they realize that, it's not the way of life in the city is very unsatisfying, and there are so many other type of troubles, and it's damaging, the nature, and it's damaging the society in the end. So it's very important to think of decentralizing our economy and giving it back to the hands of the local people. And I think there is no way out for a sustainable future. I don't know if it has to have the name of Master Unit, or if the philosophy behind it has to have the name of yoga. But definitely, it is something that we have to endeavor for the global fulfillment of every human being on this earth. We cannot remain that dependent on the economic leaders. It's very unhealthy, and there has to be also some spiritual approach, because we cannot also be dependent on other for our own happiness, or being dependent on the objects of the outside world for our happiness. So there has to be some introvert research to find a source of happiness within for the self-sufficiency in terms of happiness. And I think it's very important to understand the community where you are also. Not to take the first step as a leader and you have already answers. For me, it was very good because I came here, I had no money and I had no understanding of Africa. So for almost 2-3 years, I was just witnessing and observing what was going on around me, and it made me humble, and it made me forget about my own dogmas, or some of them at least, so that there is a healthy starting point also for the project. But living in community is maybe the most difficult thing.
Yeah, it's not only because, romantic.
Because you are faced to everyone's imperfection, including your own. But this is really very beautiful to, even if you don't reach perfection. We are not going to reach perfection in those bodies, but to progress together as a universal family is so beautiful. It's so beautiful, and I think when you manage to integrate other, like I said, other races, other beliefs, and other in that very community, it's humanity at its best. So when you have humanity at its best, you are just very close to divinity now. And I encourage everyone to go for it, to strive to create communities. And yes, that's the future. I'm quite sure. The idea is that those self-sufficient communities slowly will be everywhere in the world, and will thrive and will grow. and then there will be like, you know, drops of water. When they meet, they become one in the end. It would be like one universal family working on basis of what we found out while living together, means, you know, cardinal human values and you know, principles of wisdom. And it would be beautiful. And there is no other way out. I think that whether we want it or not, this is the force that's guiding the universe, is guiding us towards that direction. And when we go against that direction, you know, there are some difficulties, some hard difficulties, that we remember that, you know, we do have to live together. And yeah, and these different aspects of what I told, I think, should be present in this project for the future, this global project.
Yeah, thank you so much for this, like bringing it together in the communication. For, you know, the technocratic machine almost is breathing in our neck, and in all the communities I feel the opposite is that there is a lot of joy available and interconnectedness, and people are in service, and there's a oneness. And as you say, that's where we are moving to as humanity. And I want to thank you all three for being that hero and knowing that far ahead of us and doing what you did, because it took something. It's not dropping from the air. You really had to do it. And thank you for being that example. I'd like to ask Dada, what do you feel as for your community is the next step, is the next, what are you working on now on this moment?
Well, I am more and more focused on income generating activities, so that you know, they have actually a source of income. So apart from the Moringa project, we are thinking of what kind of industry, or I mean small, I don't remember the term in English, for the small enterprises, or things we can do in order to create income in the place where we are. So that's my that's the main concern regarding the socioeconomic outlook, and then more and more also infusing, you know, broadness of mind and broad ideas to enhance the awakening consciousness.
Okay, well, thank you for knowing. Yeah, we have one last question for Dada, and then we are almost at the end of this part. Dada, there are different cultures and different religions in your community, and that could give problems. But how do you solve them? How do you go along with these challenges? That takes something, I suppose.
Well, I think I could not do it, you know, but the Africans have a very high capacity to solve problems together. And actually, when this type of problems happen, I'm a bit at the back and I watch how they meet with the elders. You know, there is a lot of respect for the elders and the traditional chiefs, and they are very, very good in addressing this type of problems. And when the decision is taken about this or that problem, how it should be managed by those who are involved, it's followed. I mean, there is a decision and there is obedience regarding the decision, and everyone has to flow through, you know, what has been decided. And they are very good at that.
That's good. Beautiful.
I'm learning a lot about nonviolent communication with them, interestingly.
Beautiful.
And at the same time, they have, you know, this quality of obedience and respect, which are not really seen as qualities in the Western world anymore. But where I work, it's very important, and it's the structure of the society. And thanks to the structure, the society is surviving and thriving.
Thank you for this beautiful answer and this end of this 17 minutes talking about living on the land and from surviving to thriving. Thank you all for painting this picture from your practice and what you came to know. It's very encouraging and also attractive to live in communities. I really got that from each of you. So I want to thank you a lot for your input and for your love and your consistency, your hard work, I know for sure. And yeah, thank you so much for contributing to us, to our program. Thank you so much for bringing all these practicalities in. Thank you so much.
The invitation.
Hope to see you again soon.
Thank you.